Recolor artwork is a very powerful technique in Illustrator. And although we used it throughout this course a couple of times, we haven't actually had the time to look into it properly. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the most important features of this technique. So you can see already I have two objects here, and I duplicated them just so you can see the before and after easily. Let's start with something simple like this balloon. It doesn't have much colors on it, but it will be still interesting to see what we can achieve with recolor artwork. So first of all, once you've selected an object, all you have to do is to come up to recolor artwork here in the options bar. Click on that, and then I like to have it move to the side so I can see in the background what is happening. First of all, we see a list of the colors that we have in the object that we selected. So there's 5 colors in this case. And we can decide whether we want to make changes to them under the Assign option or under Edit. I will come back and forth between these two, and I just wanted to make sure you know that you can switch between these modes. When a color is selected, let's say orange is probably like the key color in this case, I can then immediately start making changes on it by adjusting it down here, either using the hue, saturation, brightness, or I can switch to RGB, CMYK, and other modes as well. And it tells me that that was the original color, and now this is the new color. If I want to swap colors around, so instead of using blue for these stripes, I want to use that for the sack, and vice versa, use that dark gray for the stripes, I can simply drag and drop, and I created the swap. So once again, if I want to swap it back, that's how easily I can do so. Of course, each color can be changed. So if I select this gray, dark gray color, I can increase the brightness on it, and I can start adding a color like this, or change it maybe, I don't know, to red by changing these values around a bit. If I want to reset my colors quickly, all I have to do is to click on this eyedropper here on the top. That way I can restart. And in case I want to save the original set of colors and easily come back to them in the future, then before you do anything, it's wise to click on this new color group option, which will create a set of swatches saved as a color group, and it will be accessible from your swatches as well. And you can call it balloon. And that way it's going to be preserved. So now if I start messing around with colors, and let's say I click OK, I can always go back to recolor artwork and select the original colors. The only problem is that it might not remember where those colors were used. So in this case, I think these two colors need to be swapped around, and then yes, it looks the same as the original. So although saving a color group is useful, if you want to make sure that the original setup with the colors remains, it's best to have a duplicate object, the same way as I did it. So I have one on the left with the original colors, and the new one is for experimenting with my new set of colors. So here's another cool thing you can do. You can actually merge multiple colors into one by dragging them over each other. So if I drag this color onto this one here, they actually become one merged color from now on, so that blue and dark gray are both going to be using orange or whatever color I choose. The only difference between them will be the brightness of them. But even that can be simplified. If I want to have the exact same color used for all of those elements, I can simply choose exact from this drop down. So once again, it's that drop down where you can specify the colorization method. If you choose exact, then there won't be even difference between the brightness of the stripes and the sack. And let me show you another cool technique. This here at the bottom, this icon, can randomly change saturation and brightness of your colors. So if you're not sure how to change the colors, you can click on this a few times until you get an interesting mix of changes. Now, of course, you can help a bit and select one of these colors that is dominant in the image and maybe change it to red. and then keep mixing the other colors around. If that's still not enough, you can also go into the Edit menu, and there you will see the color wheel in which you can make changes to your existing colors. So first of all, you can increase the overall brightness or darkness by changing this option here at the bottom. And then you can select individual swatches and move them around freely. Another great feature here in the Edit option is the linking of harmony colors. By enabling that, I can now move all the colors at once. And it's almost like using hue saturation adjustment in Photoshop. So you are moving all the colors around at once instead of moving them independently from each other. Don't forget that whenever you come up with a good mix of colors, you can always save them as a new color group. So if you're not sure about the set, just save it and then keep exploring further. Maybe there's another one that you like, maybe this one, you can save that as well. And then you can switch back and forth between them, deciding whether one or the other is better for the illustration you are working on. I actually prefer this one, so I'm going to click OK. Let me show you something else with this other example. So I selected his object and I go up to the recolor artwork option. Now you will see that here we have much more colors to work with. And there's a very cool feature that you can isolate colors that you don't want to change. So for example, I want to change all the colors apart from his skin tones. I can disable those colors. So just simply removing those arrows will make sure that those colors won't change. And I think these were the colors for the skin tones. Now I can go into Edit, for example, and then click on Link Harmony Colors and start moving them around. And what you will notice is that all the colors update apart from the skin tones. So that was a great way of changing everything apart from the colors that I didn't want to change. And if you are not sure about your color choices, you could even rely on color harmony rules, which you can find from this drop down. Now we can choose complementary, analog, monochromatic, and so much more that you can find here. So these are all rules that will confine the colors into certain systems. Like analog colors will be very close to each other. Or if I go back, we can be even more restrictive and choose monochromatic, which will be the same hue for all colors and only the saturation and brightness is going to change between them. That actually created a quite cool result. I quite like that. So you can see that choosing color harmony rules can sometimes help you deciding what colors will work best. And last but not least, I would like to just mention that if you don't have a duplicate, you can still check how your original colors look like by turning off recolor art and turning it back on. So that's a good way of seeing before and after in case you don't have a duplicate. But I highly recommend to get into the habit of duplicating an object first and then recoloring it so you can see them side by side. And that's all I wanted to show you, although there's a couple of additional things you could play around with, but the most important features I mentioned. And I would like you to explore this feature and try to recolor the whole illustration in this exercise file. The text might need updating because I'm using an Adobe Typekit font, but again, feel free to use whatever font you prefer. Once you went through this exercise, you can move on to the next video, which is going to be about the Live Paint bucket